A year ago, in February 2014, Ukrainians gathered on the Maidan Square in Kiev and overthrew the government of President Yanukovych. Refusing to recognize the revolution and speaking of a coup d'etat, Russia invaded and annexed the Crimean Peninsula. It sparked a brutal conflict in eastern Ukraine that would kill thousands and raise tensions on the edge of Russia and Europe that haven't been seen since the Cold War.
Russia gave up the pretense of merely supporting the separatists and moved troops across the border.
Today, fighting persists between the new government in Kiev and the self-declared People's Republics of Donetsk and Lugansk in the east of Ukraine. Despite extensive media coverage, it is hard to find answers to the most fundamental questions. What is Russia's interest in the conflict? Is the West to blame for the escalation? And what is to become of Ukraine? This documentary attempts a critical look at a war of fluid borders and confused identities. A series of outsiders offer their interpretation of a conflict that is once again polarizing the world. Academics, journalists, artists, security advisors and politicians together present a new perspective on what inspired this artificial war and what fuels it.
Western media likes to fall for revolutions and for people movements against their governments, and there's a tendency to see all protests as something good and all centralized regimes as something bad. I think what the Western media gets probably a bit wrong as an instinct is that you get a kind of blanket green light support for most people protests, and sometimes they are not what the nice picture of a revolution suggests.
Nicu Popescu is senior analyst at the European Institute of Security Studies. Previously an advisor on foreign policy and EU affairs to the Prime Minister of Moldova, he specializes in Russia and its relations with the EU.